Roy Jones Sr. You know, one thing I say about Roy Jones Sr. is that he should have been the American version of Brendan Ingle, because what he was doing was so different and outlandish compared to what other trainers were doing of the day. Roy Jr. didn't look like anyone. He didn't look like anyone or anything. The principles that Roy Sr. focused on in development of his fighters were just completely off the beaten path of boxing at the time, but they were effective. And I always say that had it not been for Roy Jr.'s prominence in the sport, and then that they had a conflict, and Roy Jr. essentially buried his dad in the media, that Roy Sr. would have been much more prominent over here, and he would have been our version of Brendan, because he trained 4 world champions. Like he had Arthur Williams, he had Roy Jr., he had Vince Phillips. Vince Phillips beat Kostya Tszyu. Vince Phillips beat Kostya Tszyu in Tszyu's prime. How did he do that? Because he boxed in a way that Kostya had never come across. Like he had never seen it before. And Roy Sr. also had, like, I don't know, maybe like 15 national or Olympic level amateurs. I love looking at guys like that and looking at what they did and finding like just like little morsels of wisdom. The one thing I was told about Royce, that Arthur, because when Arthur was alive, I used to ask him a lot about what it was like training with Big Roy. He told me that Big Roy never used a round clock. Can you imagine? The gym never used a round clock. He said for every time they sparred, he only used a stopwatch, and he would call the stop and start of the round. And a lot of times he would stop or start it either right before or right after something big would happen. And when I thought about that, I was like, I wonder, why is that? And then the more I thought about it, I started to realize that it was more of, he wanted the fighters to hold on to the moment where they did something right, or to be able to ponder and discuss the moment where everything went wrong.